In September 2017, I gave a lecture in Pohang. It was a monthly lecture series, and from what I heard, the speaker before me was Lee Hai-jin, the chairman of Naver. That day, I was told that the Dream concert had drawn the largest crowd in its history. When I took the microphone, the first thing I said was this: if you buy Bitcoin after listening to my lecture today, you are stepping into the end of happiness and the beginning of suffering. You will go through immense psychological pain. Every time Bitcoin's price rises and falls, your emotions will rise and fall with it. One moment, you'll feel excitement, only to crash into despair the next. These emotional ups and downs will shake you, and in the end, you will completely lose your peace of mind. The room went completely silent. After a brief pause, I continued, but if you choose not to buy Bitcoin today, back then, it was $5,000, you may keep your peace of mind for the next 3 years, but 3 years later, you will face unbearable regret. There is no way to escape this. The choice is yours. That's how I began my lecture that day. Someone asked who taught me, and my answer was, my mentor is this book. In 2014, after my awakening, I searched for it on Amazon, bought it, and read it many times. This book is a collection of emails and messages exchanged by Satoshi Nakamoto between 2008 and early 2011. The text itself is very difficult. As I mentioned yesterday, understanding even a single sentence required extensive footnotes. That's because engineers and programmers compressed their words to the extreme when asking Satoshi questions. Among all the voices in this book, the only one who speaks clearly and understandably is Satoshi himself. As I read, I noticed that his personality was remarkably consistent. That's why I don't believe Satoshi was more than one person. Of course, he may have received help during the development process, but he was a single, highly intelligent individual with an incredibly consistent way of thinking. I read this book over and over and became completely immersed in Satoshi as a person. And as I kept reading, I couldn't help but compare him to Vitalik Buterin. Satoshi had an exceptional grasp of the humanities. Was he an economic genius? A programming genius? A philosopher? His writing was incredibly precise and structured. His thinking was crystal clear. Back in 2008 and 2009, the people asking him questions were some of the smartest minds in the world. Yet, even when they struggled to articulate their thoughts, Satoshi responded like a kindergarten teacher, breaking everything down in a simple, structured way. In 2015, I read this book over and over for days. Whenever I didn't understand something, I reread it. Then, one day, it just clicked. A coin's value and its adoption are always in conflict. This is a trade-off. It's a paradox. And that's why Satoshi Nakamoto acted as he did. Think about Bitcoin. Some people ask, if Bitcoin is so great, why can't someone just copy it and start over? But that's impossible to replicate. And here's why. I'm not sure if Satoshi Nakamoto ever used these exact words in this book, but reading it led me to this realization. I came to understand one of the dilemmas Satoshi struggled with, and that leads to a key question. Is it possible to recreate this today? You could ask, if someone builds an identical system, does that make it Bitcoin? That's a valid question, isn't it? And in a way, this also ties into another question. Should we invest in altcoins? Keep this in mind. The governor of the Bank of Korea once described a coin as an empty vessel. He said that for it to have value, something must be placed inside. Since nothing was placed inside, crypto is a scam. My response involved wave-particle duality and other complex concepts, but at its core, Bitcoin truly is an empty vessel. Let's define what we mean by a coin. Bitcoin, Ethereum, every cryptocurrency contains nothing inside. If something were placed inside, it would no longer be a coin. Instead, it would be a security, a digital stock, a digital bond. Think of it like a gift certificate. A Lotte department store gift card isn't a coin. It has value because Lotte guarantees what's inside. The same goes for Asiana Airlines miles or Korean Air miles. They aren't coins either. A true coin is something that contains absolutely nothing inside. And yet, despite containing nothing, it still has a price. This is where Satoshi Nakamoto's insight comes in. He understood that a coin's price and its adoption are fundamentally in conflict. And because of this contradiction, crossing that initial threshold was incredibly difficult. Let's say you create a new coin. You own all of it. Does it have value? No, it has zero value because it has no use. A coin isn't a security that holds some kind of underlying asset. Its survival depends on adoption. If a coin doesn't spread but instead stays in the hands of a single person, it's meaningless. Think about Satoshi Nakamoto. He mined 1 million Bitcoin. Now imagine you create your own coin and mine 2 million. Does that make you wealthier than Satoshi? Of course not. So you try to distribute it. You start giving it away to people around you. If you give it away for free, it spreads faster. Let's say you manage to distribute it to 10,000 people. Compared to when you held all of it alone, your share has decreased, and the coin itself has taken on a slightly stronger monetary character. It seems like it should have value now. It still doesn't. Why? The answer lies in how you distributed it. Did you charge money for it, or did you give it away for free? To spread the coin, you have to give it away for free. Even then, people may hesitate to take it. Now, what if you tried to sell it for $1 per coin or $10 per coin? Who would buy it? Since they got it for free, they see it as worthless. A coin needs widespread adoption to become valuable. But to spread, it must be given away for free. And because it was free, people don't perceive it as valuable. Try selling it, and no one buys. If no one buys, it doesn't spread. If it doesn't spread, you end up holding all of it yourself. And if you're the only one holding it, it never becomes money. Bitcoin's system design is beautiful and logically sound. But there was one question that reasoning alone couldn't answer. How does Bitcoin ever cross $1? There was no clear way for it to happen. Why did Satoshi Nakamoto hold 1 million Bitcoin? Because he was the only one mining it. No one else recognized its value, so Satoshi mined alone. At the time, his 1 million BTC were worthless, just digital junk. So when someone asked for Bitcoin, he simply gave it away. Ordering a pizza? Here's 20,000 BTC. This wasn't just about trading, it was a way to distribute Bitcoin. People now talk about Bitcoin Pizza Day like it's part of Bitcoin's mythology. But at its core, it was just giving Bitcoin away for free. And because it was free, it had no value. Some people tried to calculate Bitcoin's electricity cost at the time. One estimate said 1/100th of a billionth of a dollar per Bitcoin, a meaningless number. But the real question is, how did Satoshi Nakamoto overcome this barrier? Satoshi Nakamoto had help from the punks. At some point, the punks started joining the Bitcoin community. They saw Bitcoin as a new material, a groundbreaking technology. And the people drawn to it, they weren't exactly ordinary citizens. Many were outsiders, those dreaming of rebellion, people who saw themselves as geniuses, or those deeply involved in niche subcultures. In the US, Bitcoin was widely misunderstood by young people. They thought it was a tool for the right to do drugs. In reality, Bitcoin crossed the $1 mark because these young people believed it would become the currency of the underground drug world. So they started hoarding it, buying 10,000, 20,000 at a time. Somewhere there was demand, and that pushed Bitcoin past $1. Now let me ask you, was Bitcoin crossing $1 the real event? Or will crossing $100,000 be the real event? Many assume that Bitcoin hitting $100,000 will be historic, that it will be front-page news worldwide. They think the real milestone will be when Bitcoin surpasses $100,000 or 1 billion Korean won. But in reality, the most significant event in Bitcoin's history was when it crossed $1. A coin that contains nothing inside must overcome a fundamental trade-off, the struggle between adoption and value. This isn't something that can be solved through logic or mathematics alone. It has to be something that happens in the real world, an accident, yet an inevitable one. And it can only happen once. Bitcoin was that event. No other coin can replicate it. This was a historical breakthrough, like the Big Bang of the universe. Only Bitcoin made it happen. Every other coin, Ethereum and everything that followed, crossed this threshold simply because Bitcoin had already paved the way. Thanks to Bitcoin, they didn't have to struggle through this phase. No other cryptocurrency has ever or will ever rise from nothing, gain adoption, and create value on its own. That's what makes Bitcoin so unique, so extraordinary, and truly one of a kind.